Newcastle United 3, Southampton 1. After going behind early on, Newcastle responded with what was a very good performance, particularly in the first half. I think they took their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half, but I think it was just quite comfortable for them. It was very professional, and I have to say, stop sleeping on Sandro Tonali. We hear all about how brilliant and world-class Isak is. Everyone talks about it. Lewis Hall and Anthony Gordon have got a bit of praise this season. Bruno Guimaraes, everyone knows how good he is. But I've not seen, outside of the Newcastle fan base, praise from mainstream media about Sandro Tonali and how good he's been this season. Tonali, after Isak, you could argue, has been Newcastle's second best player this season since he's come in, because his impact on the team, not just to unlock Bruno Guimaraes, but his all-round play, his ground coverage, the way he's always winning back the balls, he's everywhere, is unbelievable. And games are won and lost in midfield, and I think Tonali coming back in is a big reason for this upturn in Newcastle form. Now, Newcastle obviously responded well to the setback versus Bournemouth, although Bournemouth beating Forest 5-0 may make you guys feel a little bit better about that defeat. But you deserve to beat Southampton. It was dominant, 6 big chances to their 1. As I said, a very good first half. Second half was more relaxed. Look, I thought the goal you conceded was a shocking goal to concede. I think you did have an error in you today. Fabian Schär switched off a little bit there, but it was offside. But I think Newcastle easily deserved the win. It was a very comfortable win for them, and they were very, very dominant. There was a little bit of defensive switching off at times. Dubravka made a really good save today. Joel Linton, maybe he rushed his passes a couple of times. But, Newcastle were fantastic today. Sandro Tonali, Isak were the two standout for me. Livramento, I think he actually goes under the radar. I think Lewis Hall gets a lot more credit than Livramento, and Lewis Hall's been the best left-back in the league this season. He's been unbelievable. But I think Livramento's ability to defend the wide channel and deal with the wingers is really good, because Southampton, believe it or not, they actually have a little bit of quality. It's just the squad isn't good enough, but they have a little bit of quality and danger in attack. And of course, teams' problems. They've got 2 versus Forest. They probably deserve to beat Man United, but we had Ahmad that failed us out. It wasn't as easy game as maybe Newcastle thought, but it was very professional. They were very dominant. I thought Jacob Murphy was really good. So before I talk about Tonali and before I talk about Isak and everything going on, I'm going to give you my general thought on Newcastle and that game. And I'm going to try and make this video no longer than 10 minutes, because I want to record this video, want to record the Liverpool match reaction before the Chelsea game starts, and then I'm going to record an Arsenal match reaction at half-time. It's going to be a crazy busy day for me. But let's dive into my general thoughts on the game. First of all, the goal you conceded was poor, and I have to say it was a blatant penalty. I don't know why it takes time to check that, why VAR can't give that. The refereeing decisions today, Lewis Skelly should have never been sent off for Arsenal. Blatant penalty in Newcastle, which obviously was given. But some of the refereeing in this league is, and every team tells me, it's corrupt. VAR's against us. VAR's against us. The only 2 teams I see constantly benefit from VAR seem to be Brighton and Man City. But I don't think VAR is corrupt and against any team. I just think VAR and the referees are just so shite in general. But look, Newcastle, some of their play today, particularly in that first half, was excellent. The movement and the space and the passing into space, that's proper football. Do you know what my favourite kind of football is? And it's actually the sort of a little bit more counter-attacking, transitional football. Like, as much as I don't like Liverpool, Klopp, when Liverpool at their best, played my favourite kind of football. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, doing really well at Betis. When Man United were good and we were playing well under Ole, it was my favourite kind of football to watch. McKenna's done that with Ipswich. Can't really do it as much in the Prem without the players, but it is that sort of, having workhorses and releasing it on the attack and having dangerous transition threats. And Newcastle did that today, and it was so enjoyable to watch, even as like a non-Newcastle fan. Just the ball from Murphy into Isak, the ball for the second goal was unbelievable. The Gordon ball into Tonali for the third goal, fantastic. The passing and movement into space. When Newcastle get the ball, their ability to make those progressive passes into space and have runners to get on the ball in transition. Newcastle are one of the most threatening sides. They're very well coached off the ball. They're very well pressed. They can match people man for man. Jules' athleticism, but it's the runs in behind those passes to release the players. Gordon, Isak, so deadly. Murphy's become really deadly this season. But obviously, as I said, Tonali was everywhere. He was making those box-scratching runs. It was good football to watch, particularly in the first half. As I said, Tonali is becoming underrated. He's everywhere, blocking, tackling, driving forward for the goal. The run, the aggression he shows was great. I thought Joel Linton was the most wasteful of the midfielders today. There wasn't too many negatives. I don't think Joel Linton had a bad game, but if I was nitpicking, do you know what I mean? I thought Newcastle were dominant overall. They had a few defensive sort of moments that maybe were shaky, but Livramento impressed me today. I thought 1v1 defending, tracking back, deals with everybody so well. I think Newcastle could have got 4 or 5 goals in the first half. It was one of those pure Newcastle performances. And I was thinking, my mate triple captained Isak on FPL, and I thought, she's done it. I thought Isak was going to get 4 or 5 goals today, only the 2. But Bournemouth smashing Forest 5-0, I think just shows how good Bournemouth are. And I think that was just a little bit of a blip. I mean, Bournemouth are ridiculously good this season. I might make a video on it on my third channel, to be honest. But look, Newcastle dropped back into first gear second half. They weren't bad, but I think they were just reserving energy. There's a lot of games coming up. There's the Arsenal game in the Cup as well. There's loads of games coming up. Fair enough. I thought it was just a well-managed from Newcastle. I thought Southampton had their chances. Dubravka had to make saves. I thought Southampton... One thing I've noticed about Southampton is, apart from the odd game where they just get battered like 6-0, they work really hard and their players don't give up. They're just not good enough. But yeah, it was good from Newcastle. And Botman and Byrne sort of looking a bit more solid than Shaw. I rate Fabian Shaw. I think he's a really underrated player. But I can see why Botman and Byrne has been picked as a partnership at times this season as well. But continuing on, we've got to talk about Isak. That was a proper Thierry Henry-esque goal. Isak's ability to read the game, know when he's onside, make the runs. Isak's intelligence is not spoken about. His goal scoring, his completeness is spoken about. But Isak's intelligence, reading of the game, understanding where to position himself, bait the defence into playing himself onside is unbelievable. And just the touch and the run was that second goal from Isak, fantastic. Did obviously well to win the penalty. But, you know, the run, the timing, the touch, the turn, to get it on his angle, the finish, it was smooth. That is not an easy goal to score. He made it look easy. He made it look effortless. Isak is the most complete striker in the league. He's matched Haaland for goals when Man City put it on a plate for Haaland. But Isak adds so much more than Haaland. Hold up play, turning, dribbling, running at people, directness. He can run the channels. He can run with the ball out wide. He can be a transition threat. He can score worldies like he did versus Liverpool and hit the ball at 100 miles an hour. He can score tap-ins like he did versus Tottenham. That is Alexander Isak. He can score worldies. He can score tap-ins. He can dribble. He can link play. He can hold up. He can get his head on things, even though I wouldn't say that's his strongest strength. You know, he's constantly threatening. The touch, the technical ability, the intelligence. What a player Isak is, and what a run of form Isak is in. I just whacked my elbow there. Run of form he is in, by the way. He scored literally in every game but that Bournemouth game, which was a bit of a blip for Newcastle. But let's continue on. Alexander Isak has scored or assisted 22 goals in the Premier League this season, 4 more than any other striker in the competition. He's now scored 6 goals in his last 5 games in the Premier League. Best striker in the Premier League, and he absolutely is. Those statistics, 22 goal contributions this season, 4 more than any other striker, most complete striker in the league, most complete striker in the world. Arsenal were going to have to pay at least 150 million, I think, if they've got any chance of getting this done. And I think he's very happy at Newcastle. If Newcastle get in the Champions League, I don't think he'd want to leave. But Tonali's a difference maker this season. We'll talk about Isak, how world class he is. Isak gets his praises. I think everyone is sort of, even like people that aren't Newcastle fans, have come to this idea that, yeah, Isak is world class. I think Isak is getting the praise he deserves now. But Tonali, nobody really speaks about how good he's been this season. Maybe because people don't watch that much of Newcastle. But he's so good. I think games won and lost in midfield, and Tonali brings that control. He's good in all phases of the match. You know, off the ball, he's key. He covers vast amount of ground. He wins his duels. He wins the ball back. How many times did Tonali win the ball back? But when he wins the ball back, he has that aggression to drive forward. He can carry. He can pass. He was getting it ticking. But he can drop deep, receive the ball for the centre-backs, good in tight areas, good with his back, can play the pass forward. His decision-making is good. His movement intelligence is good. In terms of rest, defence and structure, Eddie Howe's always been really good at organising Newcastle out of possession. They've always been one of the best teams out of possession, but Tonali's ability to know where to position himself, to make those interceptions, to close down players, to make those duels. He's got that speed as well. Driving up the pitch for the goal, driving back, he's got that speed. He's everywhere, but he's also technically good. Longstaff's a workhorse, but he's not technically good. He can't help him build up like Tonali can. He can't unlock Bruno Guimaraes like Tonali can, and he's a creator in the final third, Bruno Guimaraes. He's Newcastle's most creative player. His assist numbers have been insane lately, and Tonali is threeing up Bruno Guimaraes. He's doing the defensive work, the off-the-ball work, making Bruno Guimaraes' job easier for him and using Bruno Guimaraes in his best role. But he's also just his athleticism, making the sprints. He'll be getting back, but he'll be making the sprints to influence attack, create overloads, making Newcastle so dangerous. And he's been outstanding. And I think he's having one of the most underrated seasons. Another player having an underrated season is Jacob Murphy. 10 assists in all competitions from this season, 8 assists in PL, making him 4th ranking. He is finding Isak. Murphy x Isak this season has been incredible. How many times has Murphy played a ball or a cross and it's found Isak. I think Gordon can be a bit more selfish, even though he's the naturally better player, cut and shoot, score. But Gordon got an assist today, not calling him selfish. Gordon's decision making, I think, is good, and I think he's a good player. But Murphy's always looking up for Isak. He's not going to get the goals Gordon get, but he's always looking up for Isak, putting in those crosses, feeding Isak. And the partnership worked well because there's talk of Newcastle getting a new right winger. I think they do at the end of the day. I think Murphy's great, but he's not world class. He's never going to be world class. Maybe he's been overperforming these last 18 months. He deserves credit. He's a valuable squad member. He will always be a valuable squad member to Newcastle. 100% Jacob Murphy will be. But the number of times that he's found Isak and made a good pass and made a good ball, he's been really good again. I think he's having a really good underrated season, because even when Newcastle bringing in Mbeumo or a top right wing, having Jacob Murphy there as a squad player with Harvey Barnes on the bench is great depth, because you have two good players to come off the bench and make an impact if need be. And that's how you catch the big teams when you're in Europe, when you've got a lot of games, when you need to rotate. And as I said, credit to Anthony Gordon, excellent player. Slow starts the season, but really looking dangerous in every game. He likes to drive forward. He's direct. He can get goals. He can get assists. He can create. He can take on players. He works hard. He tracks back. He deals with his winger well. What a player. Newcastle fans, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below. I know I'm speaking really fast, but I'm trying to keep these videos to 10 minutes. Thank you for watching. Bye.